So we are ready to go. Let's kick off. So everyone, thank you for joining today. I know you're all busy, and thank you for taking your time today with us. And I want to introduce you our speakers today. So first of all, Ben Marks from Magento. He's a Magento evangelist. He'll be with us, and Marsha Nadio. He's the CEO of Magento. And from Smartcat, Ernest Dwayne is with us. He's the Vice President of Global Sales. And Anton Voronov, you know Anton Voronov very well. He is the Business Development Manager of Smartcat, and he was with us with all the trainings at Connected Translation trainings. So generally, our topic will be about the integration of Smartcat and Magento and how we can create mutual benefits amongst Smartcat partners, Smartcat, and also Magento users. So that will be a topic that we'll be covering today, and I think Dwayne will be starting first, and I'm passing the ball to Dwayne.
So hey guys, I'm glad to see so many on this call. Some of our first class, some of our second class. I'm truly excited because I have two of my most favorite people in the Magento ecosystem on this call today. Guys, Ben Marks, saying he's an evangelist is probably an understatement. So you'll most frequently see Ben Marks wearing a Magento shirt, and you would think that the M on his chest was like a superpower or superhero costume. You never know where Ben's going to be, but he's always everywhere. So it's a really good pleasure, Ben. Thank you so much for joining this call. Also, one of my most favorite people in the world, just inside and out of Magento and any job that I ever do, is Marsha. She is running Meet Magento New York later on this next week. I'm sure she's going to get into details. But when it comes to understanding the Magento partnership and ecosystem and the community, these are the two best people to introduce yourself to and get acquainted. It's a very welcoming community. It's very driven by referrals, much like the language industry. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Ben. But Ben, let me kind of set the stage for you a little bit and give you a little background on what we're trying to do. What we provide is connected translation, and what this webinar is about is enabling our partner ecosystem to sell based on connected translation through our existing connectors with Magento. You heard me talk about it. You might not remember it, Imagine. I know a lot of that's a blur. But we were getting a lot of good reception out of that at Imagine. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Marks.
Hey everyone, I'm hoping that you can hear me. Didn't get a chance to check my audio because, well, my Zoom app decided to reinstall itself, of course, right ahead of this webinar. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Appreciate the opportunity. Translation, especially important. Magento from the beginning was excuse me, always a home for the people who needed to sell, sell to markets in multiple languages. So I think from the sorry, I'm just gonna clear my throat. Yeah, just got back from a Southeast Asia trip. We had Meet Magento Indonesia and then Meet Magento in Singapore this month in August. Marsha was there, and I've walked away from Southeast Asia with a nice rest, but also a bit of a cold. Getting back to what I was saying, from the very beginning, if we go back to 2007 when it was being built, Magento was designed with an awareness that it would be used in multiple markets, and it has, since that time, I'm not even sure that the founders really could have imagined just how broadly Magento would be used. So the ability to have a platform that translates into multiple languages and also translates into multiple use cases depending on the need of the market is something something that's pretty powerful. If you want to know about the Magento ecosystem, I think a good place to start, if you can actually find me on Twitter. I'm at just Ben Marks, and you'll see that my probably a good percentage of my dialogue is Magento related, because I live a rich and fulfilling life, and I tend to talk about Magento 24/7. And we have we have a very vocal ecosystem, which is always a blessing, in that we know very quickly whether we're doing something right or wrong. And for me, having that kind of quick feedback from my perspective, has helped Magento do succeed, and become the force that it is today. Now, the ecosystem, there are, in sort of philosophically, I talk about the ecosystem. I talk about the ecosystem like there are official ways to be involved with Magento, right? So there are official mechanisms of contribution, kind of official mechanisms of participation. But more broadly, I would say that if you're here on this webinar, whether you're just checking out Magento, or like you just heard about it and you want to learn more, or you're already working in the business, but if you're here, you're effectively part of the ecosystem. So let's start the ecosystem conversation from there, and then we can go from there and look at the fact there are ways to become a contributor, or sort of an official ecosystem member. I guess the first place for me to start is with the newly announced Magento Association. So if you go to magentoassociation.org, you can see that you can see kind of the beginnings of a story there. And the Magento Association story really begins with something called Meet Magento, right? So Meet Magento is a chance to actually experience the Magento ecosystem in person, in your region, perhaps in your country, perhaps even in your city. The Meet Magento story, much like Magento's rise, the Meet Magento story actually began pretty early on. So I think the first events were in 2009, and these were entirely ecosystem created events. So in other words, they were not, and in fact still are not, events that are produced by Magento. The ecosystem puts on these events on our behalf. Now we coordinate heavily with the organizers of the events, but for me, it is just another symbol of just how broadly and deeply Magento gets into everyone's life. Which again, when you're looking at a solution that is able to cross multiple market verticals, bridge the gap between B2C and B2B businesses, and then also work in multiple regions. That's the Meet Magento story is a really special one for me. So Meet Magento was eventually organized under a trade association based in Germany, which has since kind of sunset, and the Magento Association was our chance to really bring that trade association, that independent voice, that philosophy over to the US and set something up. So that's a good place to get started if you're looking to get involved. We have myself on the board, and then eight other board members from the community. And our goal for the Magento Association is to make sure that we're continuing to carry the Meet Magento mission forward, and then also to serve as a voice for Magento as we explore this new future. Now that we're part of part of a much bigger story as part of Adobe. So that is so let me see. I've covered Twitter. I've covered Meet Magento and Magento Association. Other ways to get involved, of course, we have our community forums, and our community forums are run by a fantastic person that I work alongside, at Magento. Her name is Sherry Rohde. So she is our community manager, works on a number of our outreach initiatives and our contributor recognition program. So being an open source company, contribution is vital to our success. We would not be here without this ecosystem. So the story that I like to tell is that we have grown from what was initially just a few blog posts, again back in 2007, to now there's over 300,000 accounts on the forum, over 100,000 actively contributing people in our ecosystem. And I'd like to make sure that everyone feels like they can participate. So if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me directly via any means, except probably LinkedIn, because I usually only sign into LinkedIn about once a quarter. So find me on Twitter. You can email me. It's pretty easy, just ben@magento.com, and let me know what's on your mind. Or if you happen to know any other employees or ecosystem members, I think if you can reach out, you'll always feel welcome. I'm going to pause right here. Just after that preamble, I have a little bit more to talk about. Excuse me, a little bit more to talk about, but I want to make sure that if there are any questions, you can post those in the chat. If we look at going from general participation and how you might encounter the Magento world, like the Magento ecosystem out and about, other ways to be involved. We have, of course, as an open source platform, we have all of our code is on GitHub. All of our and more recently, all of our architectural decisions and sort of like decision making, as well as our backlog, are also on GitHub. So if you go to github.com/Magento, you can actually see multiple repositories where you can kind of see what we're doing. And I think more importantly, you can also see how we are interacting with other active members from the ecosystem. We have an entire department dedicated to engaging in the contribution process. That's called community engineering. So you can find them at GitHub as well, because they kind of control essentially how the product is built. And then going further, you can also get involved with us via our partnership programs. So the Magento world, again, we work hand in hand with our ecosystem, because we as a company, we build some pretty good e-commerce software, and we make it as flexible as we can, but we can't make a software that fits every single application or situation. It's one of the interesting things about humankind is we find all sorts of ways to sell or buy stuff with each other, and having a software that would cover all those use cases would be absolutely impossible. Which is why we build a lot of functionality and put that in the core, and then allow it to be extended. So a lot of the work that goes into that is by kind of the end implementers, right? So we have our independent developers, we have agencies, and then we have the larger agencies that are able to build solutions for multi-billion-dollar multinational companies. So you can see we kind of run a gamut from like the mom and pop shop all the way up to the top of the market. The people doing this work, as I was mentioning, sometimes these can be 2 or 3 person agencies. Sometimes several hundred people involved, and we have ways that you can officially engage with us, so that your efforts are being recognized by us, and so that we understand where you fit in the market. I'll start kind of at the smaller end of the scale. With our community insider program. So that is run by a colleague of mine on the ecosystem team. Her name is Eliza. But if you just take a look for, do a search for Community Insider Program, it's essentially just a small partner program. So this is where, especially if you are, again, independent, maybe two has a bit higher threshold program. But again, it's a way to connect with our business people in your region and make sure that we're working, that we're coordinating, and that we're basically doing all of this stuff for the benefit of the merchants and their customers that are in your region. Another dimension of partnerships is our tech partner program. So these are official solution providers. So this could be anything from shipping solutions, like I'm here at our office in Austin, Texas right now. But we have just down the street, we have like Shipper HQ, formerly known as Webshop Apps. They've been around since the very, very early days of Magento. So they're one of our big tech vendors, and we have the tech partnership program is actually run also by the ecosystem, my colleagues on the ecosystem team. And it covers a full gamut of functionality. So basically official ways that Magento can be extended. And excuse me, we have multiple ways that we work with these partners, to make amendments to our product, sometimes to help with its extensibility, also to identify different kinds of opportunities. So we have various levels of tech partnerships there. Again, this kind of that program covers, I think, pretty much every single way that Magento can actually be extended. So the best place to discover that extensibility and the opportunities there would be to go to Marketplace, our Magento Marketplace, which is marketplace.magento.com, and that is where you can find sometimes vetted solutions that allow your store to be extended. Having come from my agency background, where we were paid, a decent hourly wage for taking Magento and applying it to a customer's needs, you might wonder how an agency might view something like an extension company. Because essentially, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to have a marketing automation platform like we have with our one of our premier partners, Digital. Actually, sorry, they're way more than marketing automation, but I'll reduce them just for making a point here. So if I wanted to have that kind of functionality in my Magento shop, if I'm an agency, I might think to build that myself. And depending on the kind of customization and how broadly applicable it is, very often an agency is absolutely correct to go ahead and just build an extension, a custom extension for a particular merchant. However, something as complex as intelligent, like market engagement and segmentation and all the various and myriad things that something like Digital does, that is something that probably isn't. It's probably ill-advised to actually build that bespoke for one customer. So where responsible agencies, what responsible agencies tend to do is they will look at customer requirements, the customer being the merchant in this case. They'll look at those requirements and they'll actually check the marketplace to see if there is, there's something there, like to see, okay, now is there an extension out there that exists and that solves this problem? And most of the time there is. And why that's a good thing, even though effectively an extension takes away development time from an agency, is that that kind of customization is broadly used in the ecosystem. that functionality as an extension of the overall Magento platform is very often supported by those companies. So if there are, if there are any issues, they've probably already been discovered. And if any new issues come up, you actually have an entire team that knows the product and knows the integration and can help you solve the problem. And then, of course, you also have ongoing feature development that happens. So there's a lot of advantages to to our extension marketplace, to using extensions from the marketplace, and then especially using extensions from our actual tech partners. All right, so I think that hopefully that gives a decent picture of the various corners of our ecosystem, and then also how we do officially engage with each of those kinds of ecosystem members. I will pause again for any questions, and then I think I'll turn it over to the next presenter.
Okay, Ben, we will be going with Marsha here, and we want to utilize your knowledge and experience in the question and answer side. Okay.
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 I kind of want to jump in and tie some things up, because it looks like Richard just asked a question, and it's kind of, what Ben was talking about was the contribution, and that is truly what I fell in love with the Magento community, is everybody is contributing. We have a lot of partners on this call that contribute to Smartcat's website and localization. A quick in the Magento community with tech partners and solution partners, they show up to the contribution day. Sometimes there may be things that Magento needs translated, right, on their website. There may be little facets that you can work in and start to contribute. The reason why you would contribute is it builds those relationships, and it's almost like being a freelancer again and being tested, right? People start to get to know you, and when instead of going to Upwork and trying to find translators and freelancers, they're now going to start to come to you, and you start to build those extended relationships and partnerships, right? Learning how to navigate in the ecosystem, as Ben just explained, is key when you're out there searching for new localization business, right? Rich, should I kind of answer your question, or?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Richard.
Well, I was just going to say, Dwayne, yes, somewhat, but I'm just interested also to hear what Ben thinks about promoting translation in the ecosystem.
So, yeah, well, as is often the case, I mean, with an ecosystem sprout, I think the answer is it depends. So if we're looking at the question, if you're on the webinar here, in the chat, is translation something that merchants actively look to Magento partners to solve, or is it something today that is seen as an independent activity? Do you think there could be an opportunity to promote to merchants? So I think, again, I think the answer is it depends. I know the agency that I came from, a company called Blue Acorn, we had, and as far as I know, Blue Acorn still has to this day a very relationship-focused orientation to to their merchants, to their direct customers. And when an agency knows a market well enough, like for example, I mean, and that could be a region or a vertical. I think they can bring some of that knowledge to bear to help out the merchant. So it could absolutely be the case that that your agency, or it could also be a tech partner, has the knowledge to help you with the messaging, right? To help you essentially with your marketing and merchandising activities. So in that regard, I'd say yes. Now, sometimes, well, and probably more often, the merchant themselves understands understands what they want to say and how they want to say it. So what they're really looking for is a facility that helps, really helps reduce the workload, reduce the complexity of providing that specific messaging. In the case of this discussion of this question, in terms of translation. So hopefully that answers at least the first part of the question there. So the rest of the question, do you think there could be an opportunity to promote to merchants? I think if you have any kind of expertise in understanding of a market, especially how customers might think about a product or a line of products, then yeah, absolutely. If you are an expert in making like cross-border marketing a reality, then yeah, by all means. I mean, that can be a substantial competitive differentiator, and I would say use that to your full advantage. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if I kind of picked up on what you were asking.
Yes, very helpful. Thanks, Ben.
Okay,
cool.
Thank you very much, Ben. So Marcia, it's your turn, and we will be very happy if you can give us some insights and ideas about how we can integrate both communities via our partners, and so that will be because that's our aim today. So Marcia, it's your turn.
Thank you. And thank you, Dwayne and Anton, for setting this up. Do you all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Perfect. Just, and Dwayne, thank you for that warm welcome. Just one correction though. The M on Ben Mark's shirt is actually for Masha. So just so we have that clear, thanks. So I work for Mage Mojo. Mage Mojo is a Magento cloud hosting company. And we are the official hosts of Meet Magento New York, which is affectionately called MM19 NYC for this year at least. So, and this one will be the 6th ever Meet Magento New York on 5 and 6 September. So I'm hoping we can see some of you there, especially Dwayne and Anton. So, it's not just an event. It's not just a conference. And it is certainly not a meetup. It is large and it grows every year. And our role is basically in hosting the event is supporting this community, uniting us all across geographic borders and timelines, helping this community grow. And I think more importantly, it's showcasing all of our talents. So let me come back to that in a little. So some background. So Magento, the company, runs their own events. Those are called Magento Live. There are just 2 of these per year, one in Australia and one in Europe. Then there's Meet Magento events, and I run one of them. So that's run by the community, not by Magento. And for a Meet Magento event, absolutely anyone can submit a talk and be accepted. So it doesn't matter if you're a partner or not. So our goal is showcasing all of our talents, no matter who we are, what company type we are, or how large or small you are. And as Dwayne was saying earlier, the Magento community is very unique. It is one of the most welcoming communities I have ever worked in. So if you attend an event, if you're on your own or a newcomer, you will not be on your own. You'll be welcomed, you'll be guided, and it'll probably be one of the best experiences or best events you have ever attended. I can assure you that. So, okay. There was an association previously called the Meet Magento Association, and they were assisting partners like Mage Mojo to host events around the world. And since they were about 30 to 40 events around the world. Typically, there's one Meet Magento event per country. The Meet Magento Association, as Ben said, was replaced by the Magento Association, and Ben sits on that board. It's in its formative stages, but they'll soon be determining how they support the number of international events, and I'm sure that number of events will grow. Meet Magento New York is now the largest dedicated Magento event in the country. So I do encourage you not to miss it. So let me tell you what you can expect. It doesn't matter what company type you are. There's 3 stages of quality content. So there's technical, business, which also includes merchant-specific talks. And there's also a 3rd stage, which is the solution stage. So this is some of the best networking in the industry. We expect about 600 guests this year. The event grows every year. 30% of the guests are usually Magento merchants or aspiring Magento merchants. 30 to 40% are developers and development agencies. So you've got merchants, and I'm guessing the next best partners for you are developers and dev agencies. And the remainder are tech provider and a small number of marketing agencies. The program in New York usually runs for a day and a half. So every half hour, there's quality content on each stage. So we work really, really hard. So again, I think you can see from that content, no matter who you are, you're going to find quality content and the kind of company who can help your company grow. Let me see, where am I? So yeah, we do work hard, but the Magento community also plays hard. I'm not sure if this is what you find at your events. At the end of day 1, usually there's an after party. This year it will be a 3-hour after party with gourmet food and an open bar. And yes, people party hard. So do join us. I promise you will feel welcomed, and I would be delighted to see any of you there. But let me back up a little. I think Tolga alluded to the day 0 activities. On September 4th, there's a Vue storefront hackathon. We usually have a hackathon or a contribution day the day before. So that's for September. This year, the company Vue Storefront is hosting it. So this is a hands-on workshop with the Vue Storefront team. They provide a brief training on what the Vue Storefront platform, PWA platform, is about. And developers get the opportunity to code and collaborate and get a taste of what Vue Storefront is all about. At the end of that day, at about 5:30, there's a happy hour, and that's followed by PWA talks. So there's a whole, separate subset of this community that you get to meet. And that's pretty much the 2.5-day event in a nutshell. Of course, following the event, we do lots of post-event marketing, and we run interviews that we've taken at the event. So you get lots of exposure following the event. I hope I've answered that question, Tolga. Dwayne, let me know if you have any questions for me.
Sure.
Guys, I want to kind of add something as Meet Magento is one of my favorite events to attend. And I've been to a lot of language industry events over the past year, a lot. What I can tell you is it's a completely different, how do I put it? It's a completely different energy. Things move very fast at this event. There are a ton of merchants that are ready and willing to help you or talk to you. When you start building relationships with the dev partners, you start to see the vision of where you can actually help provide their merchants a better e-commerce experience, right? And once they start to understand that, then it's much easier for you guys to work together, make recommendations, offer up referrals, right? One thing I want to add, well, actually 2 more things, is she mentioned a day and a half of event. What she didn't mention is there's absolutely no sleep in Magento events. You just go home and take a shower, and then you go back to the event and keep selling, right? It's a very fluid event that presents you with a ton of opportunities. Another way to actually look at it as, Jan, you were looking to reach out to Melody, right? This is how powerful and how quick the Magento ecosystem starts to work for you. It was simply asking a couple of different people, and I believe, Jan, you got linked up with Melody. Is that correct?
Yeah. Hi, guys. This is Ian here. I'm based in Singapore. Yeah, I met Melody last week. It's a very fruitful event. I was there at the Magento Singapore, and it was also my first time, with the Magento community. I think it was was a fantastic experience. You know, I got to meet Masha. You know, it was introduced by Anton. I mean, it's a really warm community. I think it was a fantastic, I think, to share a lot of ideas, you know, thinking about how we can do business together to help, you know, some of the merchants. Yeah, I think it was a really good experience. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna leave you with one last thing. If Marcia asks you at 3 a.m. at a Magento event to go to another destination, always say yes.
That's a catch. That's a catch.
All right, guys.
No kidding, guys. This community works hard and parties harder than you can ever imagine. They
Absolutely.
stay up
I
all
agree.
night and play.
Marcia got Anton to put sparkles on his face one night, so you know we're partying hard there, right?
He's a good sport, that's for sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave it up to Anton and Tolga and you guys to ask questions. So.
Yes, everybody, please feel free to ask questions. And thanks, Ben and Marcia. Awesome content. So I just wanted to reiterate once again through my thoughts while I listened to it. So the Magento is absolutely ecosystem community driven. So you can always find a way to fit in, to partner with somebody, and to talk to a lot of people who are doing awesome things for merchants. And another pretty cool thing is that it's really global. So Smartcat partner communities spread across the world. Same with Magento, and that's actually an opportunity because the more countries, the more geographies are involved, the more there's need for language translation and localization and really speaking the local languages. So I think that this is actually a huge opportunity for you as Smartcat partners. And the last point I just want to stress is that we at Smartcat are doing our best to really have you guys the ability to speak this language, not to be like disconnected from this awesome technology-driven Magento community. So it picks everything which is required for integration. So you are coming into this community empowered by Smartcat connectors and Smartcat's high-tech approach. And I think that this actually opens a very cool landscape for us to grow the business together. So pretty stoked about what we heard today and what we can actually continue doing.
Before going to Ben and Marcia, before going to questions and answers, I want to, in fact, give you some information about our partners. Right now in our call, we have two groups of partners. The first group is already took the connected translation trainings. And the second group will be starting taking those trainings starting from next week. So on behalf of all of them, maybe it will be a nice touch to get your ideas about where do you see the opportunity for translation companies to create mutual benefits with Magento community and Magento companies. So how they can start, can you please give us some ideas about that? Because you are the experts and probably we will be inspired by the ideas that you'll be providing us. Ben, Marcia, can you hear me?
Marcia, why don't you start?
I was just about to hand that to you, Ben.
We're very deferential. Actually, no, part of the reason I said that is because my audio, sorry, Tolga, my audio cut out for a second there. Can you jump in with the first part of your question there?
Okay, so the first part is, in fact, I was introducing our partners. Right now, your audience is, there are two groups. One already took the connected translation trainings, which also includes the Magento integration and connectors. Second group will be taking this, start to take this trainings starting from next week. So I will be, this is a very pragmatical question, in fact, how our partners can start getting opportunities from Magento companies, Magento ecosystem. So how can we utilize this, let's say, integration?
Well, I mean, you know, my recommendation. So this is one of those areas where I actually have a pretty standard recommendation. Regardless of where you are in this ecosystem. I mean, one of the things that kind of one of the tenets of open source, one of the pillars is the open exchange. The open exchange of things and exchanging these things, not necessarily for direct value, not like, you know, I do this for you, so, you know, pay me money, but exchanging merely for the sake of exchanging, right? So it's in my experience entirely rare that someone, even a new someone new into an ecosystem, that they don't bring with them something that no one else knows. Maybe too many negatives in there. Sort of stated differently, basically every person has something to offer. And if we start there, then I would say go ahead and offer that up. So there are opportunities to share your wisdom, share your experience. It can be as simple as writing a blog post. It can be as simple as jumping into any of the many online forums around e-commerce or around Magento and offering your opinion and expertise, or asking a question. I spent several years teaching developers for Magento before I actually joined the company, and that was a great environment in which to learn that there are no stupid questions, right? I mean, there are questions that might reveal that you're not paying attention, right? That's a totally different thing. So even someone new in the context of you know, a whole bunch of other people who are experienced, even that new person asking a question can help experienced people reevaluate or maybe reframe the assumptions that they have. So merely by genuine participation, you know, that's a really good way to get connected. And once you get connected, that's how the opportunities start to roll in. So that's an all-purpose, like, general answer here. The other ways that you can that a person can you know, sort of quickly accelerate opportunities, again, whether you are an agency or a merchant or a tech partner, would be to engage with our partner program and have, like, you know, well-researched, focused, digested content and opportunities for interaction and promotion sort of handed to you as part of the benefits there. Does that address your question, Tolga?
Thank you very much. Well, what I come up with was go to events. E-commerce forums are good places to exchange ideas and get new customers, and also ask questions in the forums, or where you can get in touch with the partner. So that's what I understand and what I am interpreting to all my partners. Thank you very much for the information.
You're welcome. I mean, I've been giving out that advice for, you know, basically a decade. And so far, no one's come back and told me that it was wrong. So I'm assuming that those answers are tried and true.
I think you gave me that. I think you gave me that advice last May. Imagine.
I likely did.
Just imagine the year before. Yeah. So it's good advice, guys.
Marsha, may I be more direct with you with the question? For example, think about yourself as a translation company and going for the Magento. So what will be your first move? Okay.
See, I wanted Ben to start with a more general answer. So, and that was perfect. So I totally support what he said. And, you know, getting active on social media and setting yourself up as an expert in your field is certainly huge. In the US specifically, Twitter is really big. But so I didn't want to jump in with this right at the start. I think Ben's general answer was wonderful. From the point of events, I would say if you attend events, sure, you'll do really well just attending and networking. So I don't want to underscore that. But as a sponsor, you also do really well. At Meet Magento New York, what I do hear from sponsors is they like the size of the event. It's at 600 people. It's easy to make quality connections. It's not massive, like in the scale of thousands of people, where it's hard to find the people that you even know are there. So it's easy to find good people, make quality connections. And if you're at a booth, for example, at a sponsor booth, you have the opportunity to directly engage with people who stop by at your booth. We give you opportunities like lead scanners. So you scan all of the folks who come up to your booth. And it's in the US where we have different rules around GDPR. So post-event, you do get a list of everyone who opted in and agreed to have their contact details shared. So it's a good opportunity to follow up after the event. And the more events you attend, the more you grow this list of contacts. So what I have seen a lot of companies do is, develop quality content that people are looking for and send it out to the list, as opposed to just, reaching out and asking people if they're good business contacts. So that's a good way to go as well. Just sharing with people ideas and thoughts or content that's useful to them. But certainly just attending an event like this. And we do make it easier. We work at strategies to make it easier to navigate an environment of 600 people. So for example, we have color-coded lanyards or badges. So you have an idea when you approach someone. Is this a merchant? Is this a developer? Is this a tech provider? So again, so I'd really encourage you, find an event nearby and go to it, even if you just attend in your first year. And Dwayne, you're in Boston. New York is pretty close. No excuses.
I know. And I didn't tell you no, and I would hate myself if I missed MMYC, but I'm actually working on bringing some of our partners with us as we speak. So, yeah, guys, the local events, the contribution days, it's all a great way to get into the mix. And once you get into the mix and you start recommending Magento partners that you have discovered to these development partners, they're going to start giving referrals back and forth. It's a great way to really get to know people and just diversify the channels that you have to bring in new business, right?
Dwayne,
that's what we're all looking for.
I missed something really, really important. Get up on stage, submit a talk to these events and get up on stage. So that's a great way for people to know that you exist and how you can help them. And you can submit a talk. I was saying earlier, no matter who you are, you can submit a talk to these events and it's evaluated on merit. And if your talk is not accepted, the other route is the sponsor route. So some of the sponsor packages include a talk. It's on a third stage, but still, the third stage is great content as well. So this is a great way to get yourselves out there.
And that actually lets me, also it reminds me that I might have failed to mention something. So I'll tag on to your excellent wrap-up point there, Marcia. Sherry from our community manager started a speaker directory. So if you do happen to know something or think you know something, you can actually register. I've dropped the link in the chat there. You can sign up there. And that is a resource that that we at Magento, as well as people organizing events in the ecosystem, everything from a meetup to bigger conferences, can actually reference to find speakers on various topics. And then I will conclude by saying that again, just even if you don't get on stage, or even if you get on the smaller stage in an event, there's always that important hallway track, where you can make some really
Right.
lasting connections that you'll remember, unless you go out with Dwayne and Marcia later.
Okay, so we have a couple of 10 minutes, no, only 10 minutes left. So maybe we can go to question and answers side. And guys, do you have any questions for, of course, Marsha and Ben? No questions?
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Daniel.
hi Daniel.
Question.
Sure.
So I'm a very small operation, and we're based in Mozambique. So issues of internet penetration and access to energy and things of that nature are very difficult. So I'm wondering, in that context, in the African context, have you guys had any experience with African companies, and how have you, confronted those challenges that are really hindering progress in that kind of e-commerce space?
I'll start this off. For us, yeah, it was interesting actually. Not too long after I joined Magento, I my funny African Magento story. I got because I put myself out there as a contactable person. Someone reached out to me, and I'm not kidding, and this is not a setup to a joke. A guy named Prince from Nigeria emailed me about having an enterprise license. And I mean, I actually had to think about it for a second. I'm like, is this a joke? Is someone kind of trolling me here? But no kidding. I actually forwarded it on to our to the representative from our sales team responsible for the region. I followed up with him like a month later, and he's like, yeah, I thought it was a joke too. And it ended up being the easiest deal ever. So literally just they got in touch and sold the license. So I have actually gone to South Africa and spoken there at a PHP conference. And at the PHP conference, I had several people come up to me and reveal that actually businesses of all size were using Magento, including I think one of the big like pharmacist chains in the country was actually using the free version of Magento, and so we know. So from that's just one example. I mean, obviously, Africa is. Talking about Africa is like talking about Asia as a market. I mean, it's really, a collection of so many different markets. The challenges that you have that you probably, from your experience are that, Magento fundamentally, while it is made to work, everywhere and be extensible to apply to local market, it is fundamentally like an American and particularly North American product. So a lot of the assumptions that get built in can be challenges in other markets. Like for example, we really encounter this in markets like China and Japan, where you see something that seems really obvious to us, like, oh, well, of course, I should have, if I want to register as a customer, I provide my email address. But consumers in a lot of markets in Asia and probably several, a lot of markets in Africa, sort of like Middle East and Africa, email is not as relevant a thing for them. They want all their interactions, through SMS. So that's not just, that can be signing up for an account. That can be how they want to pay. And that can be also like transactional updates for like shipping. So I know I was in Kenya not too many years ago, just a few years ago, training a team from Safaricom, which is the big, I think the big like mobile phone service provider there, but they're also effectively a bank. And they have a very cool payment system that's pretty standard there called M-Pesa. And we're working on integration so that people could actually buy stuff like on flash sale from a Magento site, and then when they go to pay, they actually just pay using M-Pesa on their phone. So those opportunities are there, but obviously require probably additional, what I would think of as additional work over like if I was versus having a store, like starting up a store, here in the US, where a lot of the machinery and functionality is just inbuilt. But so I would kind of say that yes, there are probably some challenges in working, both inside any given country in Africa, and then also dealing with cross-border challenges, whether that's shipping or payments. But each of those challenges then becomes an opportunity. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense, and we already have M-Pesa in Mozambique as well. It's
oh, cool.
I think all over the SADC, the Southern African Development Community, there's mobile money is quite prevalent. And you're right to say that everything will probably be done through mobile as opposed to laptops or other machinery. So yeah, thank you for your response.
Yeah, and but also there again, back to my earlier point about sort of like giving back and kind of participating in this global dialogue that's inherent in a properly run open source project. Absolutely, feel free to share your insights and your questions with me, and I'm happy to share those more broadly with our team at Magento, because really once the challenges, the opportunities are surfaced, we're pretty good as a company and as an ecosystem at getting those things solved.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben. Abhishek wrote a question to chat, and the question is, we'll be getting this question and then we will be wrapping up, because we have 2 or 3 minutes. So the question is, can you tell how a localization company can be collaborative with Magento? So this is maybe a repetitive question, but let's go for the question.
Well, my colleagues on the ecosystem team at Magento will be very happy for me to answer this question.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're the ones that actually have, they have quotas. They have numbers they have to hit. My job, I have the easiest job in the world, and that I just basically have to travel everywhere and talk with everyone. So the absolute, the easy direct response is, if you are in the localization space, you absolutely should have a relationship with our partnership team, right? So you can reach out to me directly. I will get you in touch with the partner manager that can really help find the opportunity, the program that's right for you. So basically, the way our partnerships work is we have, regardless of your orientation to our business, whether you're an agency or a tech partner or something like that, or a solution provider, we want to make sure that we have a way for us to collaborate, where there is a little exchange of money, right? So the partnerships are paid opportunities, but what you get out of that partnership should be absolutely, like, you should have that value returned back to you, and then some. So that's the job of our partner managers, is really understanding the services that you provide, and the markets that you serve, and then helping you either understand that market better or helping you grow opportunity, even as you might help us understand the opportunities that are out there. So that's really I think that's a fair statement of the character of the relationship that we like to have. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is just reach out to me, again, ben@magento.com. I'm happy to connect you with a partner manager, and that way we can get your solution badged and vetted and put in our marketplace, and get you in front of a whole lot more merchants than you're reaching right now.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much. So it's 6 and we are, in GMT +3, and we are out of time. Okay, Anton, do you want to wrap up together?
Yeah, thanks everyone for your time, for your participation. I just wanted to stress that this event we held today is the part of the series of our educational series we do for our Connect Translation partners, and I definitely encourage our second batch to join the training. I'm so happy that the first partners we trained in the previous weeks are actually starting to find leads and close first deals based on Connect Translation, and that's probably the most important for us to really be successful in helping you to grow your business. So that's the main point I have. And once again, thank you for your time. We'll follow up with you all, and let's stay in touch and continue to grow this.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Ben and Marcia. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take
Thank you.
care.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.